Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fantasy Football Review. I'm Phil Hargis. It's good to see you guys again. And we are through the first weekend of NFL opening weekend. It's one of the best weekends of the year. I mean, it's great how the NFL delivered that to us this year. We start off on Wednesday night with the opening game, the Cowboys and the Giants. Pretty good fantasy football game. Then we had a couple days off. They kind of wetted our whistle with that one. And then we had to wait all weekend long until Sunday for the full ticket of all the NFL games. Starting off with the Redskins and the Saints, Robert Griffin III's NFL debut. We'll get to that shortly. And then just a ton of awesome games. Some great predictions we got right here on the show, like Matt Ryan being one of the top fantasy quarterbacks. And, you know, like all those times about us telling you not to take a quarterback in the first round, well, maybe that worked out well for you this weekend. We'll see how that works out well with the rest of your running backs. And you can tell us how your team is doing there. And then all kinds of other things like Fred Jackson. We were wrong about him. He got hurt, and now he's going to miss a couple weeks. That kind of thing happens. And anyway, a lot of tight end action. You know, the tight ends were great. You didn't have to take a lot of high draft picks on those guys like Jimmy Graham and Gronkowski. Even though those guys did score and led the statistics for tight ends, they did end up having a lot of other tight ends that put up some decent fantasy production for you. But let's go ahead and bring the rest of the crew in here. We have a full force here to break down the NFL Week 1 games and then get into Week 2 here. Natalie Gerson, good to see you again.
Hey, thanks a lot. It's good to be back.
All right, it's been a while. We saw you about, what, 2 or 3 years ago, I think it's been?
It hasn't been that long. Some of us have to travel a little bit for work.
All right, she's even worn some special clothes here for us.
Oh, man. Let's not even talk about it.
Yeah, so we're going to have a special show where she takes off all this Pittsburgh stuff
awesome.
later on. Because that has been banned on the
Not
show.
that type of show.
This is fantasy review.
Phil, she did it like 12 years ago. Come on, let's not bring that up.
Okay, that's true. The
Awesome,
Camelot
guys. You
is,
can take the
still
girl
gets
out of
royalty.
Pittsburgh, but you can't take the Pittsburgh out of the girl.
All right, Pramati, brother. And then over here we have Robbie, is getting a good check there of his fantasy teams.
Yeah, not bad.
Welcome back,
Better
man.
than
Good
yours.
to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, you did pretty well with your quarterback there in the first round. Aaron Rodgers powered out for you.
He did, just like Matt Ryan did too. Good call.
Very good. Yeah, got him in the 4th round. Not
He's
the
gonna
first.
be okay this year.
All right, man. Well, listen, quarterbacks, guys. What right off the top there? What do you guys see there that kind of grabs your eye?
I think Matt Ryan, because he obviously throws for 3 touchdowns and rushes for 1. He's a top point getter. If you could have gotten him in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you're loving it because he looks like a top tier quarterback. We've been preaching all past 2 or 3 seasons.
Matchups.
And then Robert Griffin III, another guy that we knew coming in. Could he kind of replicate the numbers that Cam Newton put up his first season as a rookie? Definitely showed it on Sunday, beating the Saints and powering out. So, and then Romo, Breeze, and Rodgers rounds out the top 5. Michael Vick looked terrible on Sunday. But
let's talk about Cutler. That's another guy we kind of talked about. We were pretty high on.
You know what?
There.
Yeah, Jay
And
Cutler. He's got a plethora of wide receivers to throw to. Alshon Jeffrey, rookie wide receiver, he looked great. But he did play against a poor defense. Against in Indianapolis. So could this be a kind of foreshadowing for things to come, or is he kind of like a guy that has one great game and then kind of falls off? Well, only time will tell.
Okay, and Natalie, we got to ask you, where's Ben Roethlisberger on this list?
He wasn't on this list this week. Actually, you know what? I didn't think that Ben did that badly as far as offense went. I mean, I was a little bit more concerned about our defense in that game.
The interception he threw at the end of the game was pretty impressive, I have to admit.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a good one.
All right.
Okay, Tom Brady to round out the top 10. Peyton Manning makes his return to the NFL too, so it's good to see him back out there. Pretty solid game against your Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, moving on to running backs here. Now, we do have some things to look forward to here. This is kind of a weird list, Robbie and Natalie. Some names you don't really expect to see. It's not Arian Foster, Ray Rice, or LaShawn McCoy at the top of this list. It's other guys. C.J. Spiller, Kevin Smith, Stephen Ridley, and Alfred Morris. What do you make out of all that?
I think it's kind of weird only because C.J. Spiller's been in the league for 4 years now, and this is the first time we've ever seen him on the top of the leaderboard in Week 1. So, does he continue with this success with Fred Jackson being injured? I don't know. They were down by a lot of points, and he did get some kind of garbage yards. But Kevin Smith, a guy that played pretty well for the Lions, especially big time, coming up with that touchdown catch with 7 seconds to go, and Stephen Ridley, great rookie running back or second-year running back of the New England Patriots, gets a start as a feature back and shows why he's, I guess, one of the best running backs in the National Football League. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
Thanks for that update. And again, no Pittsburgh guys made this list. They have a whole committee there of Isaac Redman, Jonathan Dwyer. He ended up having a pretty good game, didn't he?
He ended up having a pretty good game. I mean, Mendenhall's still out, so we can't talk about all of our running backs. But Dwyer went in there. I think he got, was it
45 yards
45 yards or so, like that. I mean, we have a lot to work on.
You got something to start with there. I mean, I think he's kind of like the sleeper guy that may still be out there on the waiver wires. We'll get to the waiver wire picks here shortly. And then you have some touchdown machines there at the bottom of the list. A guy like Michael Bush. And, those kinds of guys are good to kind of put in there if you have them on your team. You can get them on there because you know you're going to get a couple touchdowns from them, even though you're not going to get a lot of yards for them. That's a pretty good example of what you can do with that kind of position right there. Let's move on to the wide receivers here. Weird things happen in week one because nobody really knows how those offenses are going to set up. I mean, coaches hide a lot of things in the preseason, so you don't know who's going to really emerge here. And it's your first glimpse out into the waiver wire here and the guys you might be able to pick up. But Kevin Ogletree for the Dallas Cowboys ends up being like the go-to guy there in that opening night game. And you see a guy like Stephen Hill for the New York Jets. I mean, who didn't really come out of nowhere. He's a pretty highly touted, like sort of a sleeper guy in the preseason. But like not a lot of guys drafted him though because those teams just weren't going that deep. And then this is one of Robbie's favorite players down here, number 14, Cecil Party in my shorts. I mean, I know you were all around in the preseason, Robbie.
You're the one who was talking about him. I don't know what that love affair was for, but again, he does pretty well. So should we pick him up, Phil?
I think
he's your boy.
Continue the party in your shorts, sir.
I think Maurice Jones-Drew, he just missed being on the list. Didn't have a touchdown, but for a guy that missed all preseason, looked pretty fresh on against the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll see. Getting him as a third-round pick could prove pay dividends. So you never know. But another guy on this list that I was talking about a lot, and kind of a lot of guys were saying that he was going to have a bad season with a rookie wide receiver was Reggie Wayne. I mean, caught 9 balls for $135. I mean, he didn't find the end zone, but another guy who's reliable, and he seems to be on the same page as Andrew Luck. So that's a good chemistry and a good guy to have, especially as a flex guy or maybe your second wide receiver. I kind of did draft him, not going to lie. So I think he's a pretty good player. And then Stephen Hill for the New York Jets. A guy I was like, he's a rookie. Don't really draft this guy. Proved me wrong. Had a hell of a game. So.
And then sort of Rondre Roberts makes that. We've been waiting for this guy to kind of bust out the last couple of years there. He is on the list for the first week there. The Arizona Cardinals are a team that's going to be passing the ball a lot there with whatever, plus they have your wide receiver there, Michael Floyd, waiting to make his step out and make his debut.
Love seeing my Notre Dame boys. I do not know why Brown isn't on this list, though, Antonio Brown. Now, he had just as many catches as Robbie's boy, Shorts over there. And, maybe week one wasn't the best for him, but week two.
See this column right here that says touchdowns? You see where he has a 1?
Yeah, you know what? He
Antonio Brown
didn't have any in the first, but you know what?
That has something to do with fantasy football, of course, is you have to score touchdowns in addition to your yards.
You know what, Phil? I know that. Okay, and maybe in week 2 against the Jets, maybe Wallace and Brown will actually do something, especially if the Jets put up as many points as they did in week 1.
I think next week we just put the list down to the 48th receiver, so we get all your Steeler guys on there.
Man. Well,
This is what happens when I leave for a few weeks and a few months and don't
We have
come
all
back.
kinds of time to put together material for you.
Do it up.
All right, let's do it. Let's move on to tight ends, and then we can get on to the waiver wire matchups and then on to the matchups here. So tight ends, again, like I was saying in the opening here, you can draft Jimmy Graham in the first round, or you can draft Tony Gonzalez or Mercedes Lewis, Jacob Tamme, Heath Miller, Kobe Fleener, any of those guys, and the ends of your drafts. And what's the point of taking a guy that high when you get 20 points here and you get 16? It's really kind of a waste of a top-level draft pick. All right, let's move on to waiver wires, guys. As we see on these lists here, there's a lot of guys out here. Are all these guys worth picking up? Most of the time, probably not, but sometimes they can be here. So let's go ahead and move on to the list here. What do you guys think? Do you think a guy like Kevin Ogletree or Stephen Hill is worth picking up to put on your stash away in your roster? Are you going to ditch somebody else?
Well, I think Stephen Hill is definitely a guy to look forward to. He's got the size, got speed, runs good routes. So I don't see why you wouldn't pick this guy up. A guy on this waiver wire that should be on. Well, I don't know if anyone really drafted him, but Alshon Jeffrey of the Chicago Bears had a heck of a game. Rookie out of South Carolina. It was a third-round draft pick. He should be on the list.
You're right.
A lot of leagues he was drafted in, but. Deeper, if you have 14 team leagues, he definitely got picked up. But in like a 10-person league, I don't think he did. So I would definitely try to pick him up. Arizona defense, Buffalo defense. I don't know why Buffalo's defense is really up there. They got smoked by the Jets. Mm-hmm. Dexter McCluster, another guy. They played against the poor Atlanta Falcons team.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and introduce this. This is a new segment we have this year. This is Wardian's Waiver Wire Weekly Report. Mike was on the show back at the beginning of August, and he's like a master of the waiver wire, so he's put together these selections for us. He did a good job with them, I think, and the team defenses are on me, as we'll get to in a minute.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, Sanchez obviously looks like a guy that you can put in there, and like you were saying, all these other guys are great pickups in, including Alshon Jeffrey, who was supposed to be on this list. Actually, I don't know how he didn't make it on here, and Brandon LaFell as well. But let's go and move on to the team defensive matchups here. So what I do every year is I love playing matchups. So I put together this grid of all the games. You have the team that you're talking about here on the left, and you have all their matchups from weeks 1 to 17 here across the top. So if you look at Arizona, you can see their entire schedule, starting with Seattle, moving all the way across to San Fran. On week 17, that's who they end the season with, at San Fran. That's obviously going to be a key NFC West divisional matchup there. And what I've done was taken the top 5 or 6, 7, the teams that had really bad defenses in the first week here, that gave up a lot of sacks, gave up a lot of fumbles, and gave up a lot of interceptions here. You see them profiled here in red. And what I've done here is I've laid them all out so you can see which teams on the left there are going to have matchups against teams that had really bad defenses in week 1. This chart will continue to grow and evolve over the course of the season, so you can have more and more defenses, and including we'll start getting touchdowns on there once that's more of a credible statistic to use on this grid here. So you might be able to see a team like Arizona has matchups coming against Philadelphia, Miami, and Buffalo. That's a defense that could be a credible choice to go ahead and pick up off the waiver wire. Same thing with Buffalo. Yeah, I know they had a bad game against the Jets, but that was kind of a fluke thing, I think. I mean, 48 points is no fluke. But it's still kind of a fluky game. And we know that the Buffalo defense is supposed to be much improved this year with the addition of Mario Williams. And with games coming up against KC and Cleveland the next couple of weeks, I think that's a team that's going to certainly rebound from that effort and only improve.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I in no way knocked Buffalo's defense because I drafted them like in the 18th round, but they did not come out and really show what they had in terms of firepower against the New York Jets, who didn't even score a touchdown in the preseason. I mean, maybe that was kind of smoke and mirrors, but I thought that the Buffalo defense played just terrible. But hopefully it's just one game, and let's not get too emotional over it. So I do think they're a pretty good unit. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm not surprised at all that the Jets put up this many points, though. I mean, all we heard in the preseason was Tebow versus Sanchez, and who's going to do what. And so I feel like every single game is going to be a throwing match and trying to see who's going to be better. That's my take on it.
And the interesting thing, I was listening to ESPN this morning. They were talking about defenses when they scheme for the week for these matchups against the Jets. It's really confusing for them because they don't. I mean, you have to account for Tebow in that offense, even though he's not like a huge threat. But you have to account for him either in the wildcat or as a passer, as a however they're going to line him up. I mean, it's just an added dimension that they never have to ever really account for with standard pro offensive game plans they have to go against. So, granted, he's not great, and the team may not be the greatest offense, but they certainly look great on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Okay, let's move on to this week's matchups here, guys. We have the rest of the show to do these. As we start off, we got the Thursday night games every Thursday this week. That's gonna be really exciting. This is gonna be a great matchup here: Chicago and Green Bay. I mean, can Green Bay really start the season 0-2?
No.
Is that possible?
I don't think
Chicago is good.
Chicago.
According to some, they played a rookie quarterback on the road, and they're at home, and now they're going to Green Bay. Green Bay's gonna be pissed off they lost to the Niners. I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think Green Bay definitely takes it to Chicago, and because they are. I mean, Aaron Rodgers after the game was extremely pissed off they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's matched up pretty well against Green Bay in the past, though, man, and this is a tough game for them. If they start off 0-2, I mean, I think they're going to be in serious trouble there. Moving on to Kansas City and Buffalo. Again, it's Kansas City and Buffalo, so I think that this is actually represents a pretty good fantasy possibility for some of these guys on this team here. I mean, Castle, Bo, could have a pretty good fantasy game. Spiller, certainly eligible to have a pretty good game. Jamal Charles should blow up. I mean, other than the fact that this is probably one of the worst games on the entire matchup of the thing, it has a lot of good fantasy potential.
I see a way worse game coming that we're going to not talk about in a few, but.
What is it, my game? That's
No.
fine. Anyway, Buffalo's at home. They just got embarrassed by the Jets, so I think that this could be a good game for them. But they do have Matt Castle in Kansas City, so he's always kind of up there with fantasy points.
Yeah, that's true. Garbage fantasy points.
They're garbage fantasy points, but they're still fantasy points.
That's true. That's true.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oakland's
like
coming off the short week, like the very short week. They had the late night game last night on Monday night against the Chargers, and they lost because they couldn't get the snaps off the ground. Mm-hmm. That was pretty bad. They play Miami. They have to actually fly across the country. So this is going to be a tough week for them. They got the short week, and then they got to travel across country. I mean, this is going to be a team that's going to be pretty
easily worst matchup on the Sunday slate. I think Oakland, by watching them last night, they were horrible in every facet of the game. Special teams, garbage.
Penalties.
Offense, garbage. Defense, garbage. They're the same Oakland team we've seen year in and year out.
McFadden was good, though.
Yeah, he was decent, but Bush was better. Miami's got something to prove here at home. Rookie quarterback. It's definitely an exciting time to be a Dolphins fan, even though they didn't play that well. Well, they gave up 3 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of that second quarter, which really kind of hurt them. But other than that, I like Miami in this game with Reggie Bush to come out and really take it to the Oakland defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing Oakland can do if they can't execute fundamentals of like high school level football, let alone at the professional level. Moving on to Baltimore, a team that Natalie's a little more familiar with, the Baltimore Ravens here. Now they also come off the short week here. They go into Philadelphia, a team that really struggled on Sunday here. Is this a team that Baltimore's going to carry that momentum and beat our NFC East, big foe here, the Philadelphia Eagles?
100%.
100% guaranteed.
I'm going to say 100% guaranteed. The way that as much as I hate to admit it, the way that Baltimore played this past weekend, both offense and defensively, they looked incredible. And that pains me so much to say. And Philadelphia, I mean, they played the Browns and barely beat them. And I mean,
The rookie quarterback.
I mean, yeah, it was.
They should have lost that game.
If Vicks can throw 4 interceptions against the Browns, what's he going to do against the Ravens defense?
Absolutely. And I mean, this is a Ravens defense that doesn't even have Terrell Suggs right now, and they are still completely dominating. So I think Baltimore is going to be tough to beat, and I hate admitting that.
Robbie, will Vic make it through this game uninjured?
Yeah, I think he will, but I don't think it's going to be as the play calling is going to definitely be toned down a little bit. I don't think he's going to throw the ball like he did against Cleveland.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're going to go back to running the ball with LaShawn McCoy, and they're going to pound the football. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game at all. 2 good defenses. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles defense played really well. They picked off Brandon Whedon 4 times. So their secondary definitely looked a lot better than they did last season.
I mean, that's Whedon versus Flacco that you're talking about too. I don't think they'll be making the same kind of mistakes, and
no,
it should be good. It should be a good competitive game. I mean, I don't think it'll be a blowout either way, like you guys were saying.
I don't think necessarily a blowout, but I think it's going to be one of the best games we see this weekend.
All right, I got Baltimore winning that one too. They're just a better team.
Yep.
Despite the short week, though, that's really the main thing they have going for them. And then Philadelphia should be pretty fired up after sort of having their embarrassing moment there against Cleveland last week.
Yes.
Okay, guys, Tampa Bay and the Giants here, sticking in the NFC East. Tampa Bay, not horrible, but the Giants, coming off somewhat of a surprising loss to the Cowboys.
I was surprised. I didn't think that the Cowboys were going to win that game. I think with the Giants, losing that first game, now they're going to be at home. I think that's going to be, them definitely trying to want to get a comeback here, and especially against the Bucs. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I look for them to win this game rather easily. I think their offense gets it back together. I know Tampa Bay has a pretty good defense, but I don't see them rolling into New York and winning this game. I say you start a lot of Giants players. Hakeem Nicks will play well. Bradshaw's going to play well. Eli, obviously. Maybe start Martellus Bennett, too. But, again, I just don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have really any – and you have to look at their offense. I mean, didn't do so well against a poor
But you were telling us all
secondary.
preseason about Doug Martin. He came out and had a pretty good show.
No, he did. Yeah, he's a good running back. If you have him, you're loving it. But Josh Freeman didn't look that sharp in the first game. Vincent Jackson looked horrible in the first game. So again, the Giants, I think they're at an advantage right now. With them coming off that big loss, and they're pissed, obviously. So I look for them to rebound.
I agree.
Yeah, start all Giants. Be very selective with who you start off with Tampa Bay, and we'll move on to Arizona and New England. I mean, I think on paper this looks like it could be a pretty exciting shootout kind of game here. Tom Brady and his broken nose, is that going to slow him down at all?
I'll never be a teen model. That's all I talk about in SportsCenter. I don't care about Tom Brady's broken nose. He didn't break his nose. He's going to be fine.
Remember that big deal where he got his hair cut a couple years ago, and that was all he could talk about at the start of the season?
This is all it is. It's always about Tom Brady's appearance. But despite that, I actually was pretty surprised with the way Tom Brady played. I didn't think that they were going to come out and do as well as they did. But I mean, they also have Gronkowski and all those guys that you can always connect with. So I think that New England's going to take this.
Yeah, I think so too. This point spread's 14. I think they're going to crush.
Broken nose or no broken
a lot.
nose.
I mean, but you start a lot of Arizona players as well as every New England player because, and you know what? The defense for Arizona was pretty good against Seattle, but again, they were playing against Seattle and New England's offense. I mean, say what you will about the preseason performance, they went 0-4. Who cares? They really stepped it up against the Titans in Tennessee.
But you're going to take an opportunistic defense like Arizona. You're going to start them against a team like New England that's very prone to not making any turnovers at all. I mean, it's probably not a good play to put Arizona
Probably
in there.
not. No, I mean their running backs don't fumble the football. But now I say that I just jinxed it. So start Arizona's defense.
Yeah, especially since you want the
True,
Patriots
because it's
to win.
Rob picked
Yeah,
too, so.
The master of the mush.
that could be true.
Party in your pants. Okay, moving on to Houston and Jacksonville here. Houston was the most potent offense against one of the worst teams in the entire NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars here. This should be a blowout, shouldn't it?
Houston.
Houston all the way?
That's what I think.
All right, Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, big games, Matt Schaub.
I like
Owen Daniels, he made a nice comeback, you know. Did well
yeah,
to start the
did all
season.
right. But you know what? Something just. I don't
Stop
know.
it,
I
Robbie.
like Jacksonville in this
Stop it.
game. I really like. I don't like how the Houston Texans defense. Yeah, they only gave 10 points against the Dolphins, but yes, Ryan Tannehill threw 3 awful interceptions right to guys. Literally right to guys. I like Jacksonville. Their defense looked pretty good against the Minnesota Vikings
Besides
on the road.
Maurice Jones-Drew, though, who are you going to start on that team?
I would start Justin Blackman. I think he's going to play pretty well. And Blaine Gabbert looked all right.
He did look okay.
So I mean, they're in Jacksonville. It's going to be a tough game for Houston. No road games are ever easy in the NFL. So
All right, the 0-1.
we'll have a little side bet with Nally and I. So
All right, you guys want to go on the record here and shake?
maybe,
Want to bet a terrible towel?
probably not.
Okay, speaking of terrible towels, let's move down to the Jets in Pittsburgh here. That's a 4 o'clock game here. The undefeated New York Jets travel into Pittsburgh to face the winless Pittsburgh Steelers.
The undefeated and winless. It's been 1 week. It's been 1 week.
The struggling Pittsburgh Steelers.
Struggling Pittsburgh Steelers that will be back
Comfort of
at
home.
home. Comfort of home, which is a big deal in Pittsburgh. Everybody knows that. And we have some of our defense guys maybe coming back. Harrison might be coming back this weekend, and we will also have Clark back. So
Okay.
That shouldn't matter.
So that explains it all.
you don't think that should matter at
No.
all? Not at all.
No, I actually like Pittsburgh in this game, but I think it's gonna be a close game. And it's always tough to play in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's one of the tougher stadiums to play at. Mark Sanchez had a good game. I'll give him that. I don't think Sean Green repeats the performance he had in Week 1. I wouldn't start him.
That's your boy, man.
Well, yeah, I guess
ago.
yeah, exactly. And then I like the Steelers in this game only because their offense looked pretty good. And if they didn't give up that, I honestly think if they didn't give up that pick 6 towards the end, Ben would have brought them down like he does all the time, and they would have scored that touchdown. But it was a tough game for the Steelers, and I think they had sort of a wake-up call because they thought they were going to walk into Denver and it was going to be an easy game. And you saw in the first half. When Pittsburgh got that late touchdown in the second quarter, I really thought the momentum shifted, but they didn't take advantage of it as they should have. Peyton played pretty well and picked that secondary part without Ryan Clark. So
Yeah.
I kind of like the Steelers in this game, but the Jets could sneak up and win it. You never know.
I don't think it by any means is going to be a blowout, but I do think, Pittsburgh's also got to watch the fact that Tebow is going to be in there. I can just see them like sneaking Tebow in and pulling out something they did in playoffs last year, but we'll be ready this time.
Not gonna-
Clark will be in there this time. He wasn't there in
Yeah,
the
that's
playoffs
true.
last year.
They won't be fooled again.
No.
Okay, let's move back up here to the winless New Orleans Saints, and they play Carolina, who's also coming off the loss there with Cam Newton. And what do we got going on in this game? This is a pretty big game for that division down there. And can you see the Saints losing again?
No. I'm pretty surprised that that happened in the first, week 1, but I could see New Orleans wanting to come back in this one. But Carolina's at home.
I like Carolina in this game.
Yeah.
I have to go opposite because the Saints look so bad. They looked horrible on Sunday. I mean, at home.
It wasn't a Saints team at all that you were used to seeing.
No,
right?
and I
It's like
really-
Drew
yeah.
Brees and the way he was throwing and things that were going on. It just was weird.
Yeah, and I look for Cam Newton to kind of rebound and put up some RG3-like numbers this Sunday because he definitely showed a sophomore slump coming our way against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. So he's at home. He's more comfortable. It's a 1 o'clock game. New Orleans are going into Carolina, tough place to play. They got to right this ship. I think the Panthers do it. They win it. They're 1-1. Saints are struggling at 0-2.
Well, and that's one thing we always say on the show, too, is like the Saints, once they get out of the comfort of their own dome, they really do struggle on the road and against some of these teams.
Yeah.
I think I find it interesting that you think that Cam Newton can rebound, but not Drew Brees. But, they were a team in utter confusion, so it's possible. Okay, guys, Cleveland and Cincinnati. We always love these Battle of Ohio's. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this game at all because there's really not that much fantasy-wise
pretty
to go
boring.
on here. But what are you looking for in this one, Robbie?
Not a whole lot.
AJ Green, maybe you can start
Maybe
him.
A.J. Green,
And
but
Ben
Dalton-
Green Ellis was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, he
last
got a
night.
touchdown and it ran for 100 yards. I mean, I wouldn't start Trent Richardson. He looked awful in the first game. A guy we talked about, he's overvalued big time going into the season. Everyone's picking him the first 2 rounds.
That's all we can say on this show. It's way overvalued.
Andy Dalton looked horrible
Seriously.
against the Ravens. Just made some awful
So
decisions.
sophomore slump for Dalton then too.
Yeah, he didn't prove otherwise. I mean, I really thought he looked below average.
All right, man. Let's move on to the teams that we care about here. Washington, D.C., the Washington Redskins. Can they start the season 2-0 and finally get over that St. Louis Rams curse that they've had for the last couple of years?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, too.
I like the Redskins. I mean, I would say that it's going to be a high-scoring game. They definitely don't forget about last season where they got crushed in St. Louis, so revenge is definitely on their mind. And they want to go 2-0, no doubt about it. Going against that schedule coming up, you got to start 2-0.
So, Natalie, would you trade Roethlisberger right now for RG3 if you could for your team?
Yeah, she's going to say it.
I was very impressed with the way that RG3 played in the first game. He was having a pretty
We're
good
DC, political spin. RG3 or Roethlisberger? I want to know.
You know what? I got to stick with my boy Benny. As much as I don't necessarily agree with what he does off the field, when he's on the field, that man is dedicated, even plays with broken ankles and everything. So.
And he's got a kid on the way, too.
He does.
What's the inside scoop on that?
He's a changed man, though.
Yeah, someone's that baby doing? He's getting this again.
Don't know.
Man, but hopefully it's the weekend the Redskins are playing, so I don't have to face him.
I'm going to that game, and he won't miss it, so don't worry about it.
If he knows you're going to be there, I'm sure he won't miss it. Anyway, so we're just moving on real quick. This should be one of the better games of the night. The Sunday Night Football game is Detroit and San Francisco. Two teams that I think a lot of people think will be favorites there in the NFC East. San Fran off that big, powerful win against Green Bay. Do they do it again?
I think it's a letdown game. I think Detroit wins this game.
Me too.
Wow. I'm definitely
Yeah.
on San Fran. I'm a believer in San Fran. I think they can win. They're capable of winning every game they go into. I'm not impressed with Stafford and all of his interceptions last week at all. I don't care if he's coming off of a light preseason, but you can't come in and be one of the top elite quarterbacks and offenses and turn the ball over like that and lose to St. Louis. Almost
All right.
lose to St. Louis. So, all right, man. Real quick, we got Denver and Atlanta. Make your picks for that one, and then we'll get the hell out of here.
I like Atlanta.
Denver.
Denver over Atlanta, the red hot Atlanta
She's only
Falcons.
saying that because they crushed the Pittsburgh
I
Steelers.
just
All
got
right.
sick of Peyton.
And
Do you have any other
takes
parting
Denver.
cheers you want to lead
Or
us in here
Atlanta.
before we go?
Just one of these.
Oh,
All
my
right, so
God.
take us out here.
Here we go,
Sick.
Steelers. Here we go. We are not
Okay,
going
so-
0-2 to start out this season. Don't worry, boys.
I don't
It'll be
know.
fine.
Jets was a fluky win, and they should be able to lose to Pittsburgh for you.
Yeah, I
It does
hope
look
so.
like it's going to be a
We're
long,
at
hard
home.
season for the Steelers, though.
It might be one of those. But you never know. We could come back and win that Super Bowl.
All right,
again.
Robbie, any big picks for the week before we go here?
I think New England starts out 2-0 again for the I think it's the 7th or 8th straight year.
And the Redskins take down the Rams. Not a big shocker there, but anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will be back week for NFL Week 3 next week here on Fantasy Football Review. For Natalie Gerson and Robbie Castro, bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
Jeez.